had kids and then wasn't such a good father because he was busy with making money. He's still not, no one taught him how to be a better parent. He's just trying. I don't concern myself with those things.
On screen, they were the bickering neighbors that made America laugh for 11 seasons, the long-suffering blue-collar patriarch Al Bundy and the fiercely feminist, upwardly mobile Marcy Darcy. Their constant verbal sparring was a cornerstone of Married with Children. They were hilarious, iconic, and their on-screen chemistry was a perfect blend of annoyance and begrudging affection that millions tuned in for every week. But behind the scenes, the animosity between Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bearse was no joke. The moment the cameras cut, the laughter stopped. What viewers saw as brilliant acting was, in reality, masking a deep and lasting bitterness. A shocking wedding snub, a bitter power struggle, and a threat that could have ended a career. This is the full story of the feud they couldn't leave on set. For years, whispers and rumors circulated about the tension. But now, thanks to candid interviews and the passage of time, the truth has finally come out, and it's more complex and personal than anyone ever imagined. For 11 seasons, from 1987 to 1997, Married with Children pushed all the buttons. It was the anti-family sitcom, a brash, rude, and unapologetically hilarious look at the dysfunctional Bundy family. Ed O'Neill starred as Al Bundy, the defeated shoe salesman, and right next door was Amanda Bearse as Marcy, his high-strung, politically correct nemesis. Their scenes together were electric. But what if the source of that on-screen loathing wasn't just good writing? What if it was real? The truth is, the line between Al's feelings for Marcy and Ed's feelings for Amanda grew blurrier with each passing year, leading to a series of confrontations that would poison their relationship for good. When Married with Children first landed on the brand-new Fox network in 1987, nobody knew what to expect. The TV landscape was full of wholesome comedies like The Cosby Show, and the Bundys were a deliberate shock to the system. They were crude, selfish, and always at each other's throats. America couldn't get enough. At the heart of it was a cast that, in the beginning, seemed to be great friends. Ed O'Neill, a trained stage actor, was Al. Katie Sagal was his lazy wife, Peggy. Christina Applegate and David Faustino played their kids, Kelly and Bud, and next door were the yuppie foils to the Bundys' chaos, David Garrison as Steve and Amanda Bearse as his wife, Marcy. In those early days, the set was full of camaraderie and laughs. O'Neill himself has said that for the first few years, everything was great and he and Amanda Bearse were good friends. Their on-screen antagonism was just that. On-screen. Amanda Bearse wasn't just a talented comedian, she was also ambitious. Before Married with Children, she'd made a name for herself in the horror classic Fright Night. She had a clear vision for her career, and that soon included stepping behind the camera. As the show's popularity grew, Bearse expressed an interest in directing, and the network agreed. She began to direct episodes of the very show she was starring in. This was a huge deal at the time, especially for a female actor on a sitcom. Initially, the cast, including O'Neill, was supportive, coming together to make sure she'd succeed. But this shift in the power dynamic on set planted the first seeds of a conflict that would grow for years to come. The good old days were officially over. Going from co-star to director isn't easy. One day you're peers, the next, one of you is giving notes and shaping performances. For a veteran actor like Ed O'Neill, the star of the show, this change was tough. Bearse, now in a position of authority, directed 31 episodes during the show's run. According to O'Neill, this is when things started to go south. In a 2013 interview, he claimed that as she took on the director role, her demeanor changed, becoming more masculine and a little more snarky. It's a statement that sounds incredibly jarring and insensitive today. Whether his perception was accurate or just his own discomfort talking, it's clear a professional friction was building between them, But the first major crack in their relationship, the one O'Neill himself points to as the real beginning of the feud, had nothing to do with directing. It was about a magazine cover. In 1989, Married with Children landed the cover of TV Guide, a huge milestone back then. But there was a catch. The magazine had a rule limiting the number of people on the cover, so only the Bundy family was included. Their neighbors, Marcy, Bears, and Steve, David Garrison, were left out. According to O'Neill, Bears and Garrison were understandably upset. They confronted him on set and asked him, as the star, to demand that they all be included. Bears reportedly told him, "We expect you to go to Ron Levitt and tell him this doesn't work. We're all on the cover." O'Neill was faced with a choice: stand with his co-stars and risk the cover, or protect the win for the show. He chose the show. He bluntly told them no, fearing the magazine would just pull the cover entirely. Years later, O'Neill expressed deep regret over this. He admitted he should have been more diplomatic and at least offered to talk to the producers. "That's my regret," he confessed. For Amanda Bears, this was more than a professional slight. It felt like a personal betrayal. The man who was her friend had refused to stand up for her. The TV Guide incident created years of simmering resentment. The friendship was broken, leaving only a strained professional relationship. But things were about to escalate from a Cold War to a series of explosive fights. The first major blow-up centered around Amanda Bears's wedding in 2010, long after the show had ended. Bears, who publicly came out as a lesbian in 1993, was marrying her partner, Carrie Schenken. But when the invitations went out, Ed O'Neill and David Faustino were not on the guest list. O'Neill was deeply hurt and confronted her about it. According to O'Neill, Bears explained it was a tough call, worrying that he and Faustino would be snickering and finding it funny when she and her partner walked down the aisle in tuxedos. She essentially accused him of being homophobic, of seeing her life as a punchline just like his character Al Bundy would. O'Neill was furious, feeling she was confusing him with the character he played. His response, however, only seemed to prove her point. He recalled asking her, "Amanda, what is funny about two women in tuxedos walking down to church?" Then admitted he started laughing. When she pointed out his laughter, he doubled down, saying, "Well, you know why? Because it is funny." He even conceded years later, "She may not have been wrong in excluding me." While O'Neill has since expressed regret for his mean joke, the damage was done. If the wedding incident was personal, the second explosion was professional. This was when their animosity boiled over in front of everyone. The fight happened in the makeup room over something O'Neill later dismissed as stupid. But the topic didn't matter. It was just the spark. During the fight, Bears reportedly called O'Neill a bully. O'Neill shot back, calling her miserable and not very bright. Then he delivered the final devastating blow. He told her, "I have a button I can push. That button says, 'Get rid of Amanda Bears.' You don't have a button that says, 'Get rid of Ed O'Neill.' Your button doesn't work. Mine works." It was a stunning and cruel threat. O'Neill later admitted it was a mean thing to say and claimed he never would have actually pushed the button, but he also chillingly added, "But it was true." He knew he was the star, and he used that power as a weapon. After that, there was no going back. After the makeup room fight and the wedding snub, the relationship between O'Neill and Bears entered its final phase, a Cold War. They did their jobs, trading insults as Al and Marcy, then retreated to separate corners the moment the director yelled, "Cut." Amanda Bears has mostly kept a public silence on the feud. When asked about her relationship with O'Neill at a fan convention in 2018, she replied with the thumper rule from Bambi. "If you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything at all." The implication was clear. She did, however, suggest that O'Neill was not happy towards the end of the series, so that affected everything. Bears has also been critical of the show itself, calling it mean-spirited and misogynist, and saying it's so globally offensive, it wouldn't be made today. This view clashes sharply with O'Neill's, who often reminisces fondly about the show's humor. This fundamental difference in how they saw their work likely added to the rift. Katie Sagal has also acknowledged the show's misogynistic elements, stating that as an actor, her job was to interpret the material, not necessarily agree with it. When Married, with Children ended in 1997, it was just an ending. O'Neill said he briefly went up to her and said goodbye, and that was it. They went their separate ways. O'Neill found massive success again on Modern Family, while Bearse built a successful directing career. Even years later, the distance is visible. In 2022, when Katie Sagal, David Faustino, and Amanda Bearse gathered to support Christina Applegate at her Hollywood Walk of Fame ceremony, Ed O'Neill was notably absent. The feud between Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bearse is one of Hollywood's most fascinating and complicated conflicts. What do you think? Was one person more wrong than the other, or was this a tragic clash of personalities? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And for more deep dives into the secret stories behind your favorite shows, make sure to subscribe. The story of Ed O'Neill and Amanda Bearse shows how the lines between fiction and reality can get dangerously blurred. Their on-screen feud as Al and Marcy was comedic genius, but their off-screen feud was a sad story of ego, miscommunication, and regret. The conflict started with professional jealousy over the TV Guide cover, a moment of fear that came across as a deep, personal betrayal. It was made worse by the power shift when Bearse became a director, and it blew up with two unforgivable moments: a wedding snub and a brutal, career-threatening insult. Ed O'Neill, by his own admission, regrets how he handled things. His candid reflections show he understands his role in the breakdown, even if he can't take back his hurtful words. Amanda Bearse, with her dignified silence, has made it clear that some wounds are just too deep to reopen. Today, O'Neill is still in touch with the other Bundys, but he admits he doesn't have a relationship with Bearse. The two actors who created so many iconic moments together now exist in separate worlds, their shared history forever marked by the bitterness that grew between them.